Okay, we're going to call to order the prison board meeting, December 15th. It's approximately 12:35. I need a motion for the approval of the reading and the approval of the minutes from last meeting.
Motion.
Second.
The opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items only. I see no one. Okay, we're going to go to motion 21-3060, a motion to approve all current payables for the Community Correction Center and the prison. I need someone to make a motion to approve these items.
Motion.
Second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, now we're going to start with the reports. We'll start with Controller DiBileo.
Thank you. Prison inmate and canteen account controller's report for December 2021. The controller's office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the prison business office for the month of November 2021, and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $593,958.41 as of November 30th, 2021. The balance in the canteen checking account was $739,367.48 as of November 30th. And in addition, as of November 30th, the canteen account owned two certificates of deposit, one valued at $15,000 and the other at $132,327.20, which totals $147,327.20. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Controller DiBileo? A motion to approve his report?
Motion. Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see Mr. Jeffers is here already.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
How are you, sir?
Good.
Good.
Community Corrections Programs Report for November 2020. Item 1, adult house arrest had 167 participants. Juvenile house arrest had 13 participants. Item 2, the program's revenues for the month totaled $52,317.44. Item 3, the program's expenses for the month of November were $79,892.70. Item 4, program's completions were 43. Item 5, program's violations were 5. Item 6, program's outstanding warrants are 3 for work release and 2 for house arrest. And item 7, the budget report for the year so far. Overtime is at 9%, expenses are at 82%, and revenue is 112%. That concludes my report for November.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Jeffers? Thank you, Mr. Jeffers.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the Community Correction Center report?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a happy and safe holiday season.
You too. Thank you, Mr. Jeffers. Okay, the next report, Mr. Betti, Warden Betti.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
The average daily population for November was 668 inmates. 501 were county inmates. We averaged 599 adult males, 4 juvenile males, and 65 adult females. The average daily population of U.S. Marshal Service detainees for November was 167. Our overtime, out-of-county boarding, and community service reports are attached. The staffing update, the uniform staff on shift is 168 full-timers. We have 6 out on workers' comp, 1 on continuous FMLA with 65 having intermittent FMLA, 1 on administrative leave, and 4 full-time vacancies. That's a total of 180 full-time officers. The budget, as of November 30th, revenue was at 83% and expenses were at 93%. Extraordinary occurrence reports, there were 2 during the month. November the 4th, the newly committed county inmate was being uncooperative with the booking process. This individual's conduct continued to escalate to the point where he began to spit at officers and was threatening bodily harm to them. Staff placed him in the ERC, the emergency restraint chair, for the safety of all involved. The very next day, on 11/5, a newly committed inmate was observed attempting to commit suicide by tying clothing around his neck. Staff intervened, removed the clothing from him, and placed the individual in the ERC. PREA, there was 1 PREA investigation completed the month of November. It was an allegation of inmate sexual misconduct, and it was deemed unfounded, and the investigative report was forwarded to the DA's office for review. This concludes my report.
Anybody have any questions for Warden Betti?
Just wanted to ask the warden how things are with the COVID current condition. Warden?
We're experiencing an uptick at this moment. We have 2 blocks that are locked down for quarantine purposes. We have a total of 11 inmates who are positive and a handful of staff members who are also positive that are out. So it's a significant increase from last month.
Is the vaccine level with employees up to snuff, would you say, over there?
You know, I really can't say because I don't have any information on the boosters. I got my booster shot in the month of November, but I can't speak for everybody at the facility. If everybody did hit the target for getting a booster, we would be over 70%, but I don't know where we're at there.
Thank you.
The 4 full-time vacancies, Warden, are we currently have any applicants for those positions?
We do have some applicants. Again, I'm thinking right after the new year starts that we're going to start interviewing individuals because I anticipate that there's going to be at least 1 more vacancy. And the reason I say that is because we have a sergeant vacancy right now. And I'm positive a correctional officer will be promoted into the sergeant ranks, creating another CO vacancy. So we're going to have at least 5 in January.
Tim, you're going to have a new captain of, like another security captain position open too, right?
Yes.
Warden, any movement on a chaplain as far as?
You know, I know we spoke earlier today. I actually have a news update on that, and I have been contacted by Mr. Baxter from Jubilee Ministries. Basically, what I was asking if they can provide the type of service that they're providing down at the Luzerne County Correctional Facility. Very happy with that, and I think I mentioned that at the prison board meeting last month. He got back to me saying that he had to look into that and thought that they'd be able to do so. And the message I got from him today, it's an email message that I haven't responded to yet, is that they're going to be able to do that, which is great news. So I'll be in touch with him and we can move forward at this point. And those services, what I wanted that Luzerne County has is I wanted them as the chaplain, even though it would potentially be several chaplains. I wanted them to be able to assist with all matters that are religiously based. You know, when we open back up, if we have a sudden influx of people of the Jewish faith and we need to get a rabbi to be coming in on a regular basis, I don't want to have to be doing that. I would like them to do that. You know, notifications of death and serious illness for the inmate population. Anybody who's a trained chaplain is much better at that than anybody that works at the jail. They have a lot more empathy. They're trained to have more empathy. And I'd like those kind of services as well as coordinating matters once we do open up the prison's chaplain or chapel.
Any other questions for Warden Betti? Okay. Motion to accept Warden Betti's report.
Motion.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Warden, thank you very much.
You and have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well. The opportunity for the public to address the board.
Hi, Eileen Acapenti, Dunmore. I just wanted clarification. The inmate account versus the checking account. Could you just define what's the difference or what that means?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
my chief internal auditor is here who could address that more specifically.
Okay.
Reggie, can you,
Mr. Mariani.
Reggie Mariani?
Hi.
The inmate account are the funds that each individual inmate have in their own account. The canteen account is the funds that are put into the account from various commissions, et cetera, that are used for the inmate benefits based on pre-approved expenditures by the prison board.
Let me just, so the inmate account would be what the money that's in there that maybe their family put in there for them to
Right.
buy something.
Correct.
And then the checking account would be what they paid for whatever goods.
Yeah,
or services.
both of them are checking accounts, but
Okay, so the money that would be, that you could spend for something to benefit the prisoners would be that checking account?
yes, the
Okay.
canteen account.
The inmate is
commissary
theirs.
account.
Inmate
Right.
account is different.
Right,
Okay,
that's
thank you.
solely theirs.
Okay, I just never got the two differences. Thank you for that. Okay. My next question, really, I think Warden Betti, who would be responsible to verify the vaccine validation of the inmates and the prisoners? I think,
Our medical provider would do that.
okay, so there is somebody tracking that to see if the people have gotten their boosters and all that. There's no mandating of employees right now at the prison? Okay. And are you allowed to ask them if they've been vaccinated?
Our human resource department does that.
But they're allowed to ask them that, okay. Another question for you, the occurrences, Warden Betti, the one, you said the man was a suicide attempt, and then he was placed in the restraint chair. Why would he be placed in the restraint chair? Was he,
So that he could not harm himself any further.
so they stopped him from wrapping the device around his neck, then he was put into the chair? Are there any incentives to get the employees vaccinated? Or that's not you? Okay. And are the visitors still being restricted in the prison because of the COVID outbreak?
Yes,
Are there any visiting allowed?
yes. Yeah, regular stream visiting is allowed.
Okay, that hasn't been cut back at all. So what,
It has been, visitors have to show their vaccination status.
okay. Is there any way that they could ease the cost of the phone calls because of the restriction of visitors? I guess that would be the board. Has anyone suggested that? Because of the inmates obviously need support from their family. If they are somewhat restricted in visiting, could we cut the expense of the phone calls that they're being charged? I don't know who
I
would
can
be
answer
answering.
that.
Would that be a contractual issue? I'm not sure.
We just entered into a new agreement with GTL. We approved it today at the Board of Commissioners meeting. The 21 cents is the same that it was. It's within FCC regulations. But we have already increased the tablets from 3 inmates to 1 tablet to 2 inmates to 1 tablet. Right after the new year, when the new agreement takes effect, we're going to have a 1-to-1 ratio. We also gave, instead of 3 minutes of free messaging, we're giving them 10 minutes of free messaging. And Warden Betti and I discussed using some of the canteen funds so that the prisoner, since it's supposed to be used for the benefit of the prisoners, that the prisoners will be able to, we're going to use the canteen, he's going to use the canteen fund to allow prisoners to have more contact with their loved ones, their family and friends. And also, we do have video conferencing will start at the beginning of the year, but there is messaging on the tablets as well.
So the 10 minutes free, what's the time frame of that?
They just get 10 minutes of free messaging. So
For a week or
if I'm
longer?
a day, so
day.
if I'm an inmate and you you send me a message, it'll cost, messaging is 25 cents, video is 25 cents, calling is 21 cents. If you send me a message, it'll cost you a quarter. But then when I this is what I got from Tom Gibney from GTL last night. When I send back, it's at 5 cents a minute. So they get 10 free minutes of messaging. But they also, like I said, we are going to give them additional time for purposes of, because we're going to have the increased tablets. Right now, we were having issues because some of them were doing 3-to-1 and then they were breaking. But we're having GTL's putting an on-site IT person to prevent that, like to help with that. They're also going to do, like I said, 1-to-1 tablet to prisoner ratio. They're also going to leave like a set a number, like say 50 tablets in Captain Walsh's office. So as they break or we have an influx of prisoners, we make sure that there's no time loss with the prisoner without a tablet. So really next year, each inmate will have a tablet. And I think that'll make it a lot easier for them to communicate back and forth with their loved ones.
They'll have access to that tablet pretty much.
I don't know, you'd have to ask Warden Betti how they do it. They sign it out. Was he here? Where'd he go?
No, is it?
Oh, do they sign it out?
Yes, they do. They can have it in their cell. That's up to us whether or not to allow that. And depending on the person's status would depend on whether.
And I have asked them, and I talked to we have Deputy Warden Purvis and Deputy Warden Orzel. Now that we're at like a 2-to-1 ratio, I am asking them to make sure that the lieutenants or the sergeants or whoever it is, make sure that one person doesn't hoard the tablet, that the tablets are, until we can get 1-to-1 ratio, that they are, everybody has the opportunity to utilize them.
And this agreement with GTL provides the tablets,
Correct.
and then we pay for the service of the usage of that.
Right, so they also provide the telephone service. So for the telephone service, we were getting 52% of the revenues, and now we're getting 75%. It's 21 cents a minute. That was the same as it was last year. For the messaging and the video, it's 25 cents a minute. And we are getting 25% of the revenue. And then we will be getting a bonus starting in year 2 of 2%, 4% in year 3, 6% in year 4, and 8% in year 5. So basically, the costs remain the same, just the county is getting a higher piece of the revenue being generated because, the cost of inmates, maintaining inmates, as we talked about at the Board of Commissioners meeting, this year it's around $99 per inmate per day. So we have to offset the expenses with the revenue. And I know that there's been a couple articles written saying that we're making money on the backs of the most vulnerable, and that's not true. We developed a behavioral health program with mental health and substance abuse specialists. We hired a new medical department to help with detox and mental health issues and substance abuse. We've done a lot for inmates. I advocate for inmates. I don't do anything on the backs of anyone that's
I'm happy to
vulnerable.
hear that. My one concern when we went back and he said, you're going to utilize canteen funding for this too, but essentially, that's an expense for the inmate's family as well, which I brought up a couple of meetings ago.
I don't know how the canteen fund is funded. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know.
I asked that day, and they said the only funds that are generated are what's the inmate are charged for whatever product they buy.
Right, so certain things, so my understanding is from talking to Warden Betti, certain items have to go through the board, certain items don't. Like, for example, he bought 60-inch TVs for in the prison, because they had like the real little ones in the big rooms. And then Judge Gibbons is the one who actually suggested that we use some of the canteen funds, since it's, I don't know, he just said it, but I forget what the number is right now where we are, but with the balances, what is it, over 500?
Yeah, it's 739.
That we do it. I wanted to do it for purposes of now, is ideally what I wanted to do it, but we can't get one-on-one tablets, like the ratio, until after the new year. But I'm still going to try to work with GTL, since we will have 2-to-1, to try to get, for the holidays, to try to get free time for everyone to visit with their children and their parents and their...
Thank you.
Their family.
And that, I think we have the same concern there.
Right.
What kind of burden are we putting on them? Whether we're
Right.
charging them for the phone use, whether we're charging them for the candy bar in the canteen.
Right.
We're still generating a lot of funds from people. That fund is coming into their account through families who don't have the money.
But they're also getting an educational package that addresses religion, their GED, college courses,
Money well
substance
spent
abuse.
If indeed it prevents recidivism.
Right, that's our whole point.
That's exactly what we're here for. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Have a good holiday.
You too.
Warden, isn't there a time limitation for an inmate when they're on that tablet? I mean, they just can't take it and have it for a half hour, right? I mean, aren't they, pardon me?
There is. I'm not sure, Colleen, you know how much?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to wait till after the meeting, but if you can do whatever you need to do to ensure, it was a complaint when it was a 3-to-1 ratio that people weren't getting access to the tablets. I don't know now that we're up to a 2-to-1, but it may take, because of the having to get the charging stations and things of that matter, it may take 60 days for them to put in the 1-to-1 ratio. I told them like a hard deadline was March 1st. So in the meantime, if you can just make sure everyone gets access, if you could set up some system, especially since the broken ones that were in Captain Walsh's, I think he had 60, I think have been replaced. And then they're giving about 50 more to bring it up to that 2-to-1. And then Warden, you can do your canteen fund thing whenever everything's put in place. If that's acceptable to you, of course.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Bev DeBarros, Scranton. A lot to take in here today, but it looks like the COVID explosion in there is affecting us a lot. Of course, I want us to have the religious programming back in, like the Bible studies and, that we had before, volunteer in the chapel, and the book distribution. The only way this COVID is coming in is unvaccinated people coming in from the outside, being around the prisoners. I mean, if everybody was, I'm vaccinated, I could come in, but yet I'll be probably denied to come in because other people who were unvaccinated came in and spread the COVID. Is there a way we can continue with pick up the religious programming and the book distribution?
Well, before the meeting, we had a little conversation, Bev. We're right now, we're at the mercy of COVID. And I know they have security measures in place now to do the best we can so that we can meet the inmates' needs. But Warden, do you want to comment about that?
Sure. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
You want to come up, please?
The one comment, I don't want Bev to take this as a critique of what she said. It's factually not true. It's not the unvaccinated. That's a major driver. The individuals that work for the prison right now that are out, I think every single one of them is vaccinated because the Delta variant and this upcoming Omicron variant are eluding the vaccination. You're not getting hospital sick, hopefully. You're just getting sick, but it is infecting people who are fully vaccinated. It's infecting people who have gotten the booster. They are transmitting it to other individuals. And in our case, with who might be bringing it in, Bev could be right, but at the same time, we're getting an average of 10 new commits a day. And even though we're isolating them and testing them before we allow them out of a medical isolation, the reality is some of the individuals coming in might be testing positive at the tail end of that time period. I don't know. I could be bringing it in after stopping at a convenience store and picking up a soda. Maybe, 4 days later, 3 days later, I'm feeling fine because I'm fully vaccinated and everything, and I'm asymptomatic. I could be passing it, which is why I'm wearing my mask. So we just don't know. I mean, I'm not Dr. Fauci. I don't pretend to be one. I didn't sleep in a Hotel 7 or whatever. But the reality is, we just don't know where it's really coming from. But these variants are eluding the vaccinations. So, and again, I don't mean to be debating Bev on this. I don't mean that at all. I'm just saying there are other avenues other than the unvaccinated. I don't want to just point fingers at the unvaccinated. So.
And Warden, our goal is to keep books out and increasing content on tablets. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was looking in 2022, is spending a lot of that $739,000 that's in the Canteen account. I want to spend a lot of it on purchasing and loading free books onto the tablet system once we get the one-to-one. I mean, a lot of books. I want to have a lot of books available free to the inmate population.
And there is free content on there now.
There's free,
but
yeah,
we're
and
going to
there are free
increase it.
books on there. I want to expand that. I want to have thousands of books if we can.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Warden.
Well, it would take a long time to read a book if you had 30 minutes a day, not counting your mail or the other things that are on the tablet.
They aren't limited in 30 minutes. They're not limited. That's what we were just talking about.
I thought-
Right now, we're going to limit it so that everybody has an opportunity, but once it's one-on-one, there won't be really,
But that's in the future. These really good books are down there. I just wondered, really, if everybody here visually knows where the chapel is, where the book closet is, it's bigger than a closet, where the classroom B is, where I would like to have the actual classes in there. There's a big whiteboard. We could have shelving with trade books on it, as I've said before. We just have so much potential down there, and it's not being, it's not available. Okay, I'll ask a simple question. What if we send a Christmas card into an inmate? Does that have to be copied onto the tablet?
yes.
Opened up, picture and all on the tablet?
Yes.
They can't receive even a Christmas card in the mail to hold and to have?
No. It's not that we're trying to punish anyone, it's just that was a huge source of contraband.
But even though we purchased that very expensive machine to run the mail through it, remember about the lawyer mail, that could go through and then it would be declared clean or not?
For them to scan every piece of mail using the ion scanner would be inefficient. So right now, we have people scanning the non-attorney mail and uploading it. As of the beginning of the year, GTL is going to be doing that. All mail except for legal mail is going to be going to Maryland, getting scanned and uploaded. And then the attorney, but now we're having a problem where people are sending in mail pretending to be attorneys. That's what they use the wand for, to scan the attorney mail. I mean, it's just, you have to look at, I'd like them to get the card too. I understand that the card is different than seeing it on a tablet, but we have to keep these people safe. And the biggest input or source of contraband is mail.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to address the board?
Reverend Doug Postgate, retired clergy. I would like you to know my anxiety level about a chaplain or chaplaincy being available is much lowered after what the warden shared about Jubilee Ministries. I'd like to ask, though, when and would the warden be willing to share with the inmates that they will soon have chaplaincy services?
Sir, we could do that this afternoon for the tablets. We could send a notice out to all the inmate population through the tablets, and they can get it more efficiently than you walking around and seeing everyone
Okay. No, I appreciate that. And I think it is timely in terms of the holidays, high holidays, so to speak, to come.
The
If
other,
you- Please,
I forget your last name, I'm sorry.
Posegate.
Hi. The other problem is the rooms that are usually used for GED and like AA and I'm assuming probably for chaplain as well, they're currently being occupied by the court because they're still holding Zoom proceedings. But I was at a meeting and Barb Durkin assured me that as of the beginning of the year, that will no longer be. So then there'll be space available. Right now, there's really nowhere for anyone to go in the prison because they have court all day long.
Sure. And even with COVID, if they were able to be interviewed or shared with across a glass middle, that's fine. It's at least they know that person's there and available for them. When I would ask, when and will there be a search for a full-time chaplain in addition to Jubilee? Because our understanding is they would not address the needs of other faiths than Christianity.
Come up there again, this is going to be a lengthy one. Sorry about that. It wasn't a one-liner. To answer your question, Reverend Postgate, the services I envision is that, yeah, they would be doing, I'm not even sure what denomination they are. I know they're Christian-based, but we would reach out, once we open the chapel, the chapel back up, we would reach out to the providers that were providing services pre-pandemic. Like with the Catholic Church, Father Ruth was coming in and doing Spanish and English masses. We had, I won't go through the list of reverends, but we have people, we had an imam, we would reach out to him if he was still willing to provide services once we open back up, great. If not, we would put it on Jubilee Ministries, and I don't mean that in a negative way, to please do a search in the community, as local as you can, but expand out until you find somebody that's willing to come in and provide services for this religion or this sect.
Admittedly, they wouldn't be under any pressure to do that other than you're asking.
Right. And we would, if we didn't have a chaplain, like we didn't have a chaplain for 10 years, we would do that. The imam who was coming in, and I'm sorry, his name eludes me right now. I mean, ultimately, his name came across somebody's desk. We reached out to him, and he said, sure, I'll come in. Yeah, that's no problem. And that's how we did it. But it took a lot of time and effort, and it took time from our staff away from doing correctional matters. And we were then dipping our toes into a field that, we're not experts in. We're not experts in. I did learn a lot I always count my previous life, I was the assistant warden of treatment. I worked with Reverend Jackson. He worked for me when he was at the prison. But even before Reverend Jackson and after Reverend Jackson, I always had a hand in there. So I got to know a lot of people in the community. Not that served me very well anyway. It doesn't make me an expert on anything other than saying, hey, let's ask so-and-so if they could do this, or if they can advise someone that could do this, and then we would do our own background check. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to answer that question, other than we're going to do our best. But right now, unfortunately, this pandemic it's getting worse. It's not getting better. I know what Commissioner Domenick said, Barb Durkin said. I'll believe that when I see that, because it's getting worse. And I see, well, I don't want to be a doomsayer. I see things tightening up before they loosen up, because the pandemic's getting worse at this point in time in the winter.
So just to ask, thank you for that. Will there be an intention to move ahead to hire a chaplain?
Yes, at this point, I'm thinking Jubilee Ministries would be providing that. Mr. Boris Baxter and I will speak. Again, I apologize. I literally got that email right before I came to this meeting, so I didn't have a chance to follow up on that yet.
I'm glad that's happened. Will they be credentialed individually?
Yes. Yeah.
Also, under the educational program, or the educational portion, the packet that we got with GTL, there's a whole section on religion and all different dominations, and numerous videos and things of that nature, Christianity, Judaism. So there's I don't have it with me, unfortunately, but there is like a list of, I think there's like 4 or 5 different
And so that's something that can help out at this present time when we don't have weekly services going on. But just so everyone knows, especially the public knows, that we're allowing chaplains, pastors, priests, et cetera, to come in and see individuals at this point in time. So if your loved one is in prison and you want to have that person's priest come in, just have the priest give us a call, have the priest show up. We'll get that individual in front of them. Yeah, there'll be a piece of glass between them. It'll be plexiglass, but it'll be between them, but there'll be a phone on both sides. They can have a face-to-face meeting and talk about whatever they like.
I do truly appreciate you sharing those things, and thank you for your
Thank you.
Real quick. Jubilee also offers a 50-bed reentry program. It's a transitional house. And they also accept right now Tier 1 sex offenders, which is huge for us. So that's why I'm kind of excited for Jubilee as well. There's 50 beds that we can possibly reentry or get somebody paroled or house arrest to. They let probation in, they let parole in, and they also take in Tier 1 sex offenders, which is huge.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think as a board, we all agree, I'm sure we all agree that we want to see the inmates meet their needs. We want to see that happen, but we have to do a balancing act with the COVID pandemic. So we want to do it as safely as possible. So as the warden indicated, we're going to do the best we can, but we have to keep safety in mind as well. I hope everybody understands that. Does anybody else like to comment, or come up and address the board? Okay. Is there any other members, other business? Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you.